up for grabs now.
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira.
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it.
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, rather. Very, very welcome to the Arsenal Lounge. We've got a special show. As you can see, it's a special lineup tonight. We've got a bit of everything in the house. All the top names, all the top faces. This is how we do in the Arsenal Lounge. So, very welcome. You know, I've always taught, to respect my oldest. So we start with Lee. How are you, my friend? You okay?
Yeah, that's out of order like that, mate. You look at me before I come on. Lev, come on, Stan. Like, don't
why are you bringing me into this? Why are you bringing me into this?
Well, Lee, you deserve it, Lee, because look at what Prashant is saying. Look what Prashant said at 8:01 p.m. Get that up on screen if you can, please, Shaheen.
Is that the one that says you're late as this one?
You're late as Oba. Come on, whose fault is that today?
I was on time. 1 minute two I got here.
Lee. So we've had enough of
No,
your
man,
diva antics.
I'm not been all with it, but I thought we was shisha friends now. Like, I thought
me and you are, mate. It's nothing to do with me.
Yeah,
This is all down to Shaheen over there.
Yeah,
It's the Bold Club,
Don't watch that, Lee. Don't watch that.
Yeah. But no, man, you're very, very welcome. It's always nice to have the judge, the governor.
Thank you very much, even though you've insulted me, but I'm quite all right. Like, thank you very much.
Very good, very good. Mo?
I'm all good, man.
Yeah.
Oh, he's young. He's
Nice
young,
weekend.
isn't he? He's young, is he?
No, not that young. Listen, I'm just happy. I think is this the first lounge that I'm doing where we're not having to talk about an Arsenal defeat? So I'm quite happy.
Yeah, this season.
Yeah. It's been a good weekend, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know, man. We've got a lot of things to talk about, so hopefully it will end up in a good as well. Tom, how about you? You good?
I feel exceptionally young, is how I feel.
Me and you both. But listen, Tom, I want to thank you for having us on your channel yesterday, man. It was really good.
Mate. Yeah,
hint,
it was
hint
pleasure on you.
to a couple of people.
Go watch it.
It was our first
you, man.
one.
Really
First
appreciate
one
it.
away, wasn't it? It was our first away game. That was
yeah.
And you
Much
lost.
appreciated. Yeah. Lev, how are you, my
mate.
son? You all right?
I'm
Everything
good. I'm just looking at this layout, and then I'm in the middle of it, and I've seen Mo look up a few times. It's like watching the start of the Brady Bunch, isn't it? Like, look how many boxes we got in here.
What's the Brady Bunch? What's that?
I don't know what that is either.
Oh, shut
Me and you
up.
are too young for this.
Shut
Get him, I'll
up.
fill ya.
This is our channel now, yeah, mate. Yeah, don't fucking. Anyway, yeah.
All right,
Anyway,
well,
let's just crack
listen,
on with this,
guys. There's a few things that we want to discuss, so we'll start things off. I think it's only right to start off with this Edu interview. I know all three of you have done your views on this on your own channels. You all done videos, and by the way, for everyone who's obviously you just joining us now, Lee's got his own channel, Mo has got his own channel, and Tom has obviously the Gooner Talk TV. Check him out, subscribe to them, subscribe to the Arsenal Lounge as well, and check out their video on it. So, from what I've gathered so far, me and Mo very critical Edu. Tom is in support of Edu, not in support, but he's saying give him time. He has done all right. Lee, where do you stand on this?
Do you know what? I can see some of the things that he was saying, and I think, I can get on board with and all that. But some of the things that I can't, and I look at it on certain things is, all these questions. I don't really understand why they've done the interview, and then if you say if they don't talk, you get the up and all that. But I look at it and I think, like, well, okay, you're going to this direction. Why haven't you improved the midfield? Why haven't you looked to get the midfield sorted out? Like, the midfield needed improving. And then if he'd have turned around and said, well, yeah, we bought in Lokonga, I would then turn around and said to him, like, well, why did he get dropped after 2 games after being our best player? I then look at it and I think, well, the worst thing I think he said was he turned around and said, let's get all the players that we want in the team, get them back into the team. That tells you that he doesn't trust the players that he's got in it at the moment. That means that the backup players are not good enough. And I just feel like, you're building, digging yourself more of a hole, really, like, to get exposed by the fans and all that, like, that's how I see it. Do you know what it looks like to me? It just shows you inexperience again of the whole thing from top to bottom. There's just not going the right way. What is the plan? What is the plan? Why have you changed the plan over the last year? All of a sudden now it's we're going to go down with the youth side of things. I like the idea of the youth thing, but I will say this is I think that after a year, the more experienced players, they've all switched off now. I don't think he's lost the dressing room. It's like that. They first of all they come in and go, yeah, we're buying it, see how it's going to go and all that. And I think now the experience of players are going, no, this is not for me. I don't agree with what he's doing, whatever. And that's why they're probably now going on for the younger players because they're not so experienced, don't know what is right and what's wrong. And the biggest worry for me in that interview was he turned around and said, we're looking to develop players and make them better. That's why we've gone for these young players. Well, in the last 20 months, who have you improved in this team? People like Holding and Chambers, when they first come to Arsenal, they was decent play. I thought, wow, it was going to be a great player. They've not improved. Every player is either stagnated or has stayed the same or got worse. There's been no player that I can turn around and go, whoa, he's improved like unbelievably really well. And that's my problem. So if you're going to bring all these young players, how are you going to make them better when you're for 20 months? No one's improved. You can't improve the central defenders. You can't improve the defence. The forwards have got worse, if I'll be honest. You know what I mean? You brought Martinelli in 2 years ago. We've hardly seen him play, whether that's for injuries and whatever. So I just feel it was just a mismatch of talk, and I feel he's put himself up. And I'm a big Edu fan as a player. I've got to say this. As a player, I've got so much respect for him as a player. But I'm starting to go off him.
Yeah, fair enough. Mo, I know you were quite critical of. I watched the video that you had. You were quite critical of him. Your views are probably similar to Lee. So why don't you tell us what you thought of it as well?
Yeah, I mean, what I wanted to avoid doing was to read the transcript, read every sentence of his, and just pick holes in it for the sake of it. I think it's so easy for fans to be hypercritical of every single statement. So what I wanted to try and understand was more of a high level view of the whole thing in terms of trying to understand from his point of view, from the club's point of view, what are they hoping to achieve by going and talking to the world's media? Because clearly there's a risk when you go and do that in an industry like football. So I wanted to see some proper thought process, a proper understanding of what it is they're trying to achieve. And then I wanted to analyze whether they did achieve that. And then also that's from their point of view. And then I wanted to think about, as a fan, what do I want to hear from the technical director or from club staff when they come out and speak, and whether they achieve that. And unfortunately for me, they failed on all counts because Edu, he came out and basically said on many occasions, I understand. I think he wanted to kind of convey that he gets the sense of frustration from us, but then what he claims on some of the things that he said, I saw no tangible evidence of that being true other than him just saying it. So, for example, he said, we know it's unacceptable, talking about the start of the season. Well, if it's unacceptable, what are you doing that shows us that you are not accepting it? I mean, you can't say it's unacceptable and then everything that you're doing internally shows that you are actually accepting of it. And I think to myself, does Edu think that we're that easy to sort of pull the wool over our eyes as fans, and that we're not going to notice these things and analyze these things? So that's one example of where what he's saying doesn't actually marry up to reality. Yeah. Another one where what he's saying doesn't marry up to reality. He's talking about everyone can see what we're doing buying youth players, or he was explaining to us the strategy. That frustrated me in its own right, because the strategy is not complex. No one is, other than Gary Neville, no one is sitting there going, I don't understand this. It's pretty bloody obvious, Edu. You don't have to come out and speak to the world's media to explain to us that you're trying to buy youth players, and then you might be able to go and buy the one or two that you need once you've got a foundation of a team. We can see that. But the point is, that's what he's saying. And then I go to reality, and does it marry up? Well, no, it doesn't, because you look at Hector Bellerin. We signed him as a youth player. How's that gone? Runnison, we signed him as a youth player. How's that gone? Nketiah, Hale End graduate youth player. Unfortunately, that's not gone very well. We look at Guendouzi, signed him as a youth player. How's that gone? You look at Saliba, we signed him as a youth player. Well, how's that gone? So you can't say, in spite of these 5 examples, and there's plenty more, that we're signing youth players because this is what's going to happen. It's not that simple. And, again, it doesn't marry up with reality. Another thing he said is fans want to judge on one transfer window. That's what he said. Does it match up with reality? No, it doesn't. We're still talking about the effects of Willian, Murray, Cedric, Runnison. These are all signings in previous transfer windows with Edu. And I just sit there and I think to myself, I feel insulted. I feel like my intelligence has been insulted as a fan, because, what you're saying versus the reality, do you really think we're too stupid to deduce that what you're saying doesn't match up to reality? These are some of the issues I had in terms of what they're trying to achieve. And you have to hold some substance, hold some water. And these are reasons why I don't think it did. But then what really upset me is that more than anything as a fan, what I want to see is a bit of courage and a bit of leadership. I want him to be able to say, this is what we're aiming for. This is the target. This is anything less than this will be unacceptable. And putting his sort of reputation out there and having the courage to say, this is what we're working towards. But instead, he literally said, don't talk about top 4, top 6, top 8, top 10. And when he was saying that, I was thinking, oh my God, where's this going to end? Are you going to say you don't want to talk about top 18? How far down are you going to go? The point is, he's asking for more time. He's telling us he understands. He's telling us all of these things that don't match up to reality, but then he's not allowing himself to be held accountable or to be measured against anything. And that's what upset me, that it seemed like, it was a bit of cowardice. And I don't think people should get that much of an easy ride at Arsenal Football Club. If you're managing sort of Scunthorpe, yeah, fine, okay, the pressure might be off if you're the technical director there. This is Arsenal Football Club. I'm sorry, it comes with the territory. We have to be able to hold you to account on something. And it's easy for him. It's not easy for the CEO, for example, when you're looking at commercial deals. It's not looking for the strikers when you're looking at goals. It's not looking for the manager when you're looking at league position, because it's easy for us to hold them to account. Edu completely just allowed himself or tried to maneuver himself out of any sense of responsibility. And I just really, really did not like to see that.
Fair enough. Well, I said that yesterday on Tom's channel when we went there with Lev, and I said, well, I didn't watch Edu's interview because I didn't think he's going to say anything that would be any interest to me, and that's exactly what happened. Tom, your view is a bit different to the guys.
There we go.
We've heard what Lee and Mo said, but
spring.
Listen. Tom does have a point,
No,
and I'm sure he's going to put that across to the guys. So you heard what everybody said. Tell us your thoughts.
The thing about the interview for me is that I find it difficult to take the interview at face value, to be honest. I find it really hard to listen to what Edu's saying and think, yeah, every single word that he said there is what's been outlined behind the scenes, because I know for a fact that's not how Arsenal operate. They very rarely want to outline anything that's close to the truth to the public, because they know the reaction that it garners. I, like Mo, was very frustrated when I first watched the interview when he failed to address a target for the season. I wrote a reactionary article about the whole thing, saying that it removes accountability from Arsenal, absolutely. And then the next day, after I had kind of a 24 hours or so to kind of reflect on why he said that, I've kind of built up this theory, and you can call me crazy if I like because it won't be the first time someone has. But I genuinely think that there is a lack of confidence from Edu in Arteta. And I think there is a lack of confidence that he is not willing to publicly put a kind of target, put a accomplishment on his transfer window in regards to a league finish, because I don't think that Edu's confident that Arteta can deliver what he wants and knows that the players he's brought in are capable of with that squad. And I think the evidence is shown in last season, because the squad that finished 8th was far better than 8th. The squad that has opened the first 3 league games of this season is capable of doing far better than what we've seen in those opening 3 games of the season. And we've improved the squads. Like, I agree with Lee, not signing a centre midfielder, a genuine upgrade in the central midfield, is a big black mark on Edu's record, and that's a huge criticism of his. But I think that if you look at the business that we did, I think we had to sign a goalkeeper, a second goalkeeper, that was good enough to usurp the previous regime's signature of Leno, because he's proven not to be good enough. I think that he's had to spend money on a centre-back because the manager is outright refusing to use William Saliba. I don't think that falls on Edu, to be honest, the Saliba situation, except for failing to getting him a loan in 2020 at the start of that window. And I think they recognised that mistake. And actually, there were rumours that they'd agreed a deal with Rennes at the end of that 2020 window, and that fell apart in the final moments. But at the start of the 2021 January window, Saliba went out to Nice pretty much on the first day. And that was a lot down to Edu's discussions with Nice. And then when they decided that Arteta wasn't going to use him this season because he doesn't think he's ready, they sorted out a loan for him straight away, and he's gone to Marseille. I think Edu, if he was here, if we changed manager, would be more than happy to bring through Saliba with a new coach. I don't place blame on Saliba's situation towards Edu. I think that's entirely falls on Arteta's opinion of the player and not thinking that he's ready. I think if you look at Martin Ødegaard, is a signing that I'm very happy with. I think he's a good player. I think he's someone that provides us with a lot of creativity. He came in the last 6 months of last season, and that was when we were the second best side form-wise in the table. So you look at the impacts that had after he arrived. I think there's been good work from Edu. I just think that for me, a lot of the issues at Arsenal goes in 2 directions. One is to the manager and how he's deploying the plan and deploying the squads and selecting the players and coaching the team and failing to implement a system. And then the other direction is the ownership and their lack of commitment to this team about improving it and getting it back to where it needs to be, following through with its promises to be more communicative with the fan base. I mean, arguably, Edu did exactly what Arsenal fans have been wanting, is that to talk to us. But I don't think he was confident in what he was saying to genuinely say, like Mo quite rightly said, that we need to hear targets. I don't think he's confident enough to say targets because I don't think the manager can deliver it.
Quick question. You said Edu doesn't really have trust in Arteta to do the plan that is required. But wouldn't it be then up to Edu to pull the trigger on him and say, well,
that's
listen,
the problem,
as a
isn't
director
it?
of football,
This is where we fall towards the ownership, Shaheem, because they promoted Arteta to manager, and they've put Arteta on what I think, from the outside perspective, is effectively a level playing field with Edu. I don't think Edu is superior to Arteta at all. Yeah. And I don't think Edu has the power to remove. I think he did when he was head coach, but I don't think that he's got that power anymore to remove Arteta. And so he has to.
So you and Mo, from what I can see, you and Mo both agree that Edu is not actually Arteta's superior.
But the thing is, we don't know that. But I love the fact that, Tom, you've kind of gone off the fence and said something there, because I was going to ask a question when you were talking about, is it up to Edu to pull the trigger on Arteta? I don't know actually anymore. Like, I'm quite confused as to, are they the same level? My gut instinct tells me that it'd take for Kroenke to make the decision.
Tim Lewis seems to be kind of the big guy decision making for them, doesn't he? He seems to be the guy that's doing that sort of thing.
So I don't know. I'm doubtful basically as to whether Edu has that power to wield the axe. I don't know what you guys think. Obviously, Tom, you've said that you think they're sort of level, and he doesn't. I think I'd have to agree.
The worrying thing about it is when you say, and that's a very interesting point that Tom says, that he doesn't trust Arteta and all that, because I think that probably Arteta sees what we're seeing then, because, I look at certain situations at Arsenal and the Saliba one has to come up when I see our centre halves being continually beaten by 5'4" players, Jota, Sterling and Gundogan, My argument would be to them, why are you persisting with these players when you've got Saliba that we've got Saliba who we could bring it? I just don't get that. I also have to ask the question, I don't know whose decision this is that Mikel Arteta or whoever it was, and this is not a dig at Granit Xhaka by far, mate, but Granit Xhaka made it clear he wanted to leave. He made it clear that he wanted to go to Roma, right? Okay. Then all of a sudden, for some unknown reason, it doesn't happen. They give him an extra year on his contract, and then he's captain. I look at that and I think to myself, well, that doesn't seem like a plan to me. That seems like you've been whatever reason of it all is. And I'm going to tell you who I was talking to about this and made a fantastic point about Odegaard. Huh?
Are you going to name drop now, Lee?
No, I'm not going to name drop because you'll go, oh, well, name drop.
No, go on. I love it. Go on. Tell me who it was.
He was a former Arsenal player. That's all I'm going to say.
Charlie Nicholas.
No, it wasn't Charlie. It wasn't Charlie Nicholas.
No, he met Charlie in Mansfield.
I met Charlie in Mansfield, but we can talk about that another time. But like,
I bet we could.
this player turned around and said, let's talk about Odegaard. So I said, go on then. And he went to me, Odegaard writes a statement saying he's off, wants to play for Real Madrid, goes over to Real Madrid, can't get into Real Madrid. Oh, I'll tell you what, I can go back to Arsenal. Easy option. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what you want. Like, realistically, Arsenal should have turned around to Odegaard and said, I'm not having a go at Odegaard, and nor was this player saying, not just saying it. What should have happened then was go, no, I'm sorry, mate. You said you wanted to go to Real Madrid. Good luck with that. We've now gone for somebody else, like a while that we went for a year ago for a whole year. It's weak. It's Arsenal being weak in the transfer market. What they should have said was, see you later, we're going to somebody else now. Oh, no, we welcome him back. Now, I'm not having a go at Odegaard here. I'm just saying, but that's and I'm thinking, it definitely wasn't Kevin Campbell, by the way.
Sounds like Paul Merson.
Huh? It could be someone like that, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to deny.
Can I just say, Lee, though, often, like, we've seen, if you follow the world of football on social media enough, you would have seen players release a statement where the first few words of that statement say, do you mind just saying something like this? Do you know what I mean? And then they put the statement where clearly these statements are being led by an agent or whatever. And these players are so stupid at times, they've actually copied and pasted the whole thing. So when I see Odegaard saying, oh, I want to go back to Real Madrid and all that sort of stuff, was that an interview? Was that Odegaard actually speaking those words? Sometimes I'm just a bit skeptical because, of course, he has to say that. So I don't hold that against him.
He doesn't have to do a written thing to Arsenal about it, Mo. I don't think so. You just go to Real Madrid and get on with it. Like, when we accepted he was a loan spell, but I see what you're saying. But he come back and said, like, I know I'm going to go over to Real Madrid. Thanks for the memories, Arsenal. It's been fantastic and all that. You don't say whether it's an agent driven or not. You don't. You say that's it. Then it's done and dusted. You know what I mean? Thank you very much. We've all thought that's the end of it. Oh, we can't get in at Real Madrid. I'll go back to Arsenal. I see what I get that point of it's a little bit too easy. I had to agree with what he was saying. I'm a big fan of Odegaard. I think he done, as Tom said, I think when he came in last season, I think that he done exceptionally well from a torrid time. But I don't want Arsenal being an easy option. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be like, and I maybe because of the position we are in the league at the moment, it makes us like that. It makes us like that.
That's very truly. And another thing, obviously, with Odegaard is that maybe it's my mistake, but as far as I know, nobody else was in for him. It was just us that went for him. Lev, you've been sitting quiet, heard what everybody else been saying.
Listening to what everyone else is saying, mate.
Well, give us your thoughts, man. What's your take on it?
Very quickly on the Edu situation, I think Mo quite eloquently put most of what I wanted to say in a lot more detail. I'll put it into layman's terms. My old man used to have a saying, all fart, no poop. That's what it was. All fart, no poop. It was a lot of words, but not actually saying much. A lot of usage of the words foundation and structure and new players and backups and this and that, but not actually giving us any substance to it, as Mo said. And Lee's kind of hit the nail on the head as well. I could wrap this all up quite easily in the sense of it just shows a weakness in the entire club. Like, who's pulling the trigger? It's unacceptable, but it is acceptable. This player's not good enough, but he is good enough. We're going to get rid of him, but we're not going to get rid of him. He's gone, now he's coming back. It's just a mess. And there's a real lack of direction at the moment, and no one's really taking those, those difficult decisions and making them. And this is my problem with everything that's going on within the club, not just the Edu interview, but I mean, the fact that if what Mo is saying is correct, that he didn't really want to commit because maybe he doesn't trust Arteta. But then what does that say about what's going on? And if he doesn't trust Arteta, what's going on with the players? And there's a big question mark with Arteta with regards to man management. Is that what the issue is? They've lost faith in him. We've been suggesting that for a while now, that maybe the players have lost faith in him as a manager. So overall, it just shows that this team right now, I mean, Chelsea, they won the league and then sacked managers. You know, they've won big competitions and sacked managers the next season. We're holding on and waiting for what exactly? It shows weakness, and it leaves right in the sense of Odegaard coming back to us. You know, why did we accept it? Why didn't we not say, you had your chance? If you really wanted to join us, you would have said so. We're going to get this guy who really wants, someone like Basuma who's chomping at the bit to come to us. So the whole thing is a bit of a mess for me.
Just, two more things on the Edu thing as well, right? He spoke about, what is it that Edu's looking for? He's not looking to commit to 4th, 6th, 8th, 10th, whatever. He said, I just want to see the squad fully fit, playing together. No fan would say that. That's not all we want to see. No one's going to say, oh, that's just what I want to see. A whole season wasted just to see them playing together. Go watch training if that's what you want to see. We want to see more than that. We want to see some ambition and some achievements. Yeah. So that was another thing that bothered me. And the other thing I'd ask you guys, 2 questions about Edu, right? The first one is, what did you hear in that interview that you didn't already know?
Tom?
Just let me unmute myself. I just nothing, and I think that's Mo. That's what I said earlier. Is that nothing that he said was like, I don't think he's going to deliver us anything that we don't already know. To be honest, I think he's going to tell us exactly what we've seen over the summer: sign players of a young age, try to blend them with more experienced players. He used the word world class, and I think Lev and Jaheem, we talked about this on yesterday on my channel about, if you actually look at the squad, who could you say is arguably world class? And I said you can make an argument for Aubameyang and Partey, and I think that's about it. People suggested Tierney. I don't think Tierney's world class just yet. But beyond that, and I mean, right now Aubameyang isn't playing like a world class striker, and Partey we haven't been able to see because he's been injured for so long. So I was chatting to Sophie from the Hybrid Squad earlier, and she was saying how she would have rather have seen £150 million spent on 3 world-class players. And I said, I would have rather have seen it £100 million spent on, say, 2 world-class players, and us bring in the Lokonga, Tavares and Ramsdale, because they're kind of that made 50 million in itself. So I'd rather we brought those backup positions in, and then we really went for those key transformative figures. That's what I would have understood by him saying he wants to blend youth and world class. But we didn't do that this summer. We just brought in youth, and we don't have the world class to blend it with currently. So it comes down to a matter of opinion, I suppose, on that one.
Shaheen, is that because the so-called world-class players wouldn't come to us in the position that we're in right now, in the mess that we're in right now? And also, for me, it just seemed a little bit like a media stunt. Everyone was questioning, why don't they communicate with the fans like the Villa, CEOs do, and all of this sort of thing. And it just felt fake. I struggled to feel any warmth towards him from that interview. So I don't know. It just felt like a media stunt to me.
I get the thing that you ain't going to be able to sign world-class players with the current situation, because world-class players want to play in the Champions League. They don't want to come in there. I get that, right? So I get the policy, right, of going for young, talented players. So, we've had to change our policy because where we are, we've got no European football. But we still could have spent, we spent £50 million on Ben White. Okay, that's fine. I've not got a problem with that. We could have spent another 40 million, 50 million pound and got Basuma, who's someone that we needed. He's not world class, but he's something that we needed at this moment in time. I look at the forwards, right? We could have got rid of Lacazette, got rid of Eddie, and tried and got in somebody like the Everton, Calvin Lewin, like someone like that. You know what I mean? So then all of a sudden, you've changed the complete complex of Arsenal, where you've then got a strong squad, strong spine down the middle, big central midfield player, centre forward, central defender, build around that. That would have been a better way of going about it. Now, if we'd have gone and got that, You could say to Everton, why they don't want to sell that. You can say, well, you can have that. You have Lacazette for a year, have so and so for a year. Do those sort of deals. Make it worthwhile for Everton. I'm not saying they would be, or someone of that ilk that would change our foot. We've got 4 or 5 forwards that are all very, very similar. That so we've got a strategy at the moment where we get the ball into Tierney to cross a ball, and there's no one in there to head the thing. So, that then worries me about the strategy. Like, if that's your tactic, then get the players in that are going to play that system. And one of them is a big, strong centre forward. I'm not saying it has to be Calvert-Lewin. It was someone of that,
Lee, can I ask you a question quick? Is that all right? You said there that you would have got rid of Lacazette and Nketiah. Can I just ask how?
Or how? Look, listen, do what they've done with Lacazette. At the end of the day, with Lacazette, right? Yeah, you just say to him, right, you're not playing. You're not going to be in the. You're not going to be in the squad. Same as Eddie. You're not even in the squad. You're out to 25. You want to stay here? Stay here. Buy them out. Do whatever. Get them off the wage bill. So buy them out. Whatever. They've done it with. He done it last season with Ozil. He done it with the central defender.
But the thing is, it didn't work. We finished 8th, and I don't think that you can't just exile players continuously. And if you pay them out, you're paying their wages. So I hear Tom's point.
At the end of the day, Lacazette's not going to be in. Lacazette, right? At the end of the day, he's not stupid, right? Let's get this facts of it. And whose fault is this? This is 20 months ago, right? They could have sorted this out. Lacazette knows that if he leaves now at Arsenal, he's got maybe 1, maybe 2 options at the most. If he goes on a free transfer next year, he's going to have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what's he going to do? He ain't going to sign for no one else. And he's not, because we've let him go down to that year of his contract. Again, bad business.
Same with Nketiah, Lee.
Same with Eddie. Eddie
we agreed a fee with Palace for Nketiah. Like, we agreed a £12 million fee with Nketiah, and his personal terms crashed.
Yeah, but Eddie would have looked at this and say, well, why do I need to agree to this now, where I can go next year, I can easily pocket a couple of million signing on fee in my pocket.
Shane, I'm not going to debate that. I think you're spot on. Like, from Eddie Nketiah's point of view, why go to Crystal Palace on a 4 or 5 year contract on a minimal wage when you can leave 100%. In a year?
So you say to them, so you're stuck with them. So
you are. But that's not
I would still go out. I would still go out with that. I'd still go out with a £70 million bid and bring in a centre forward. Do you know what I would say to them?
We didn't have that money though.
Well, we have. We just spent 50 million on Ben White. We didn't have to spend 50 million on Ben White.
Where's the money for Calvert-Lewin if we've spent 50 million on Ben White?
We don't have to spend 50 million on Ben White. We could have brought in Saliba.
Because Arteta doesn't want to play him.
Well, I'm just saying, this is what I'm saying. So whose fault is this? You know what I mean? You're going to keep blaming Eddie all the time. He might have said to him, I want to do this. No, I'm saying he might want to do. If it was me, you're asking me what I would do. And you ask me if I would do with the two free players. I'm saying what you do. I would say, right, we go out. I would have brought back Saliba. I would have saved the money for Ben White. I'd have put it all on a centre forward in Calvert-Lewin. Like, you know what I mean? If it would have cost us 70, 80 million, that's what I would have done. And I would have got rid of Xhaka, right? Yep, and said to him, if it was 18 million, we want 20 million, I would say, don't worry about that. We'll take the hit on that. We've already got rid of Willock, right? Yeah. So that was it. I would then ask the question, guys. This is a question around the table of, and this is what worries me about the transfer window. A transfer. We're round a table. Us guys round a table now. Like, yeah. What are you going to do with? We've got a £20 million bid for Maitland-Niles from Wolves. What's your plans? He's not going to play for me. He's not going to get no games. Yeah. Like, you know, okay, so we'll keep him. Soon as he turned around and said to him, he's not going to have no games, sell him. That would have should have been, but we didn't.
So look, Lee,
we're going to get nothing like that.
Lee, to summarize what you're saying, right? Because I think, Tom, you push back on him, and I agree with your pushback. But Lee's not talking about, we should have got Calvert-Lewin with the fact that we signed Ben White. He's saying that he would have done everything differently. And as this conversation started, I was thinking, no, I agree with Tom, because you can't do that given that you've done this. But on the basis that you're saying, Lee, your whole strategy would have been absolutely different. I fully agree with that. Yeah. My issue is that we have not used our funds economically or thoughtfully.
No.
For me, there's no bigger example of that than having £24 million on the bench when you're getting battered by Man City. If you could play 2 goalkeepers, I'm all for it, but you can't. So
exactly, that's another great point. £20 million. We spent 20 odd million pound on a goalkeeper. What has he contributed in the last couple of games?
Yeah. And
nothing.
I said this when the move was made, and people seem to think it was a dig at Ramsdale. It's no dig on Aaron Ramsdale. I like him. I'm really happy for him. It meant a lot to him and his family when he moved, and I wish him all the best. It just wasn't effective use of the funds at Arsenal Football Club. So yeah, I'm in agreement with what you're saying, Lee. I would have bought back Saliba. I would have, unless there's something we don't know, obviously, if we've just realised actually he is rubbish, which doesn't seem like it based on his performances, then I would have bought him back and I would have put the money personally in midfield. I wouldn't have given up on Aubameyang straight away, but if I could have moved on Lacazette and Nketiah, then yeah, I would have done that. But I would have done things differently. And Tom, what you said earlier, you were saying you were speaking to someone else and they were saying that they would have bought 3 world-class players for 150. I agree with you. I think the optimum solution between 3 world-class players for 150 million and what Arsenal have actually done is exactly what you said, Tom. 2 world-class players and then the Lokongas, the Tavares and that sort of thing. I think that would have been an efficient use of funds. Yes, we need a backup keeper. That's where you get someone with an obligation to buy next summer. So you can actually make sure we climb the league table this season. And therefore, as a technical director, when you come out and do that interview, you've got the bottle to say, I am confident and I think we'll get top 6 or something.
Well,
Tom, what 150, what players would you got then?
Yeah, the thing about the 150 million question, like I agree with you, Lee. I would have kept Saliba, so you wouldn't have had to spend on a centre back. Like it's easy for me to say I would have done that, but if I was Edu, say I'm Edu, I'm the guy that's in charge of transfers, and that's what you're telling me. What would I do with the money? If I'm Edu and I say to Arteta, I want to spend 150 million pounds on these specific players, and one of them I'm not going to bring in a centre back, and he goes, well, I want a centre back. And I'm like, well, we've got Saliba. We've invested 28 million pounds in Saliba. We don't need to bring in a centre back because he's done exceptionally well in those 6 months on loan at Nice. I think it's time that we brought him back and integrated him into the team. And Arteta turns around and goes, he's not ready. I'm not going to play him. And Edu, as we've just had that previous discussion, is not in a superior role to Arteta anymore. Right. And he has to work with Arteta. So he's gone, okay, fine. We'll loan out Saliba for another year. Probably in the back of Edu's mind going, because you might not be here when he comes back. We might then get to use Saliba. But at the same time, he's gone, fine, we'll go in and get a centre-back. What centre-back do you want? And he's gone, I want Ben White. And he's gone, okay, look, we've got Richard Garlick and he's got some really good contacts with Brighton. We'll go and speak to Brighton about Ben White. And we go, look, we'll offer you 40 million. Brighton go, 50 million. Richard Garlick goes, we'll offer you 45 million. We want 50 million. And it gets to the point where eventually Arsenal just bids the money that Ben White is costing because that's the player that Arteta wants. Now, Lee, I agree with you. I would have kept Saliba and I would have brought in players in other positions. But it's an impossible question because what I would do and what Edu was capable of doing with the manager not even under him, alongside him, it just isn't possible. I think it depends on what you want to talk about. If we want to talk about how we would run Arsenal differently, I think all of us, I'm pretty safe in saying on this panel, would probably have a different coach in charge. And I just think that with a different coach in charge, Edu may have been able to do different things this summer.
And that's a great point. And also, say if, for instance, and I asked this to all of us, if, say, it was a different coach come in, and he'd signed the players that we signed, would we be as underwhelmed as what we are? Is it because we don't trust the coach that we're thinking this?
I think
guys,
so.
Can I just point out, that we're saying that Edu and Arteta are on the kind of same level playing field and stuff, This is, I think, what we need to do. We need to rewind here and go back to the root cause of the problem. If there's an insistence from the manager because of his elevated position that, no, I'm not going to play Saliba, and he's able to call the shots on that basis, and now that's making us pay over the odds for Ben White, and the knock-on impact is then we can't strengthen the midfield or can't strengthen the attack. All of this is happening, our lack of strength in our team is all of this is happening because Arteta has got too much power that he shouldn't have. Brilliant. I'm going to take you back to an interview on the 31st of July, 2019, that Mauricio Pochettino did when he was Tottenham manager. And he said, I'm not in charge of transfers. Maybe Spurs should change my job title. I know nothing about the situation of my players. I'm only coaching them, trying to get the best from them. This was 2019. And now that was when he had worked himself into a position to be highly regarded as one of the top manager prospects in the world. Yeah. And now that has been proved, because look who the hell he's managing. PSG. Look at the players that have gone and signed for him. Lionel Messi. I'm not even going to bother talking about anyone else. Lionel goddamn Messi has agreed to go and be managed by Pochettino. Now, if Pochettino, after all that he did for Tottenham, taking them from nobodies to, albeit not winning a trophy, but actually mixing it in the Premier League, he was not given the promotion that Arteta was given after 6 months in the role. I think we can say maybe we shouldn't be blaming Arteta then. Obviously, he does deserve some blame, because it seems like every time he has any difficulty with a player, he doesn't know how to coach. He doesn't know how to build relationships. He doesn't know how to, get loyalty. All he knows is exile. It's like watching flipping Batman. Do you remember that? It's either death or exile. And that's it. It's just exile.
No, let me read you this quote from Thomas Tuchel.
I just want to bring Lev into this, because he's been quiet for a while. Lev, you've been sitting there watching.
I'm just watching this.
It's a great conversation.
It is a great convo. Look,
so what's your
question? The question you need to ask ourselves is how do two guys with the CVs that they've got end up in these positions and with so much clout and power that is causing this mess? How has Arteta got this amount of power and causing Edu to be able to look at him and go, I can't do anything about it? They're both looking at each other. They're both how does it happen?
There's a saying, right? It says, in all the towns and in all the cities, you'll never find a statue of any committees. Yeah. And that's because when there's loads of people who share power and they work on a committee basis, no one ever gets blamed for doing anything wrong, and no one ever gets hero status for doing anything right. That's why you'll never find a statue of any committees. It takes for an individual. And I feel like as a result of the inexperience that exists within Arsenal Football Club, they've shared this power, this responsibility. And it's almost like what we saw in the absence of a great leader on the pitch. They shared the captaincy. It's like a leadership group, a captaincy group. And this is just what is wrong in a way with Arsenal right now, that there's no standout leaders anywhere on the pitch, off the pitch, to kind of say, hold on a second, I'm going to take control here. Or where they don't even have to say that, but people just know, they just defer to the Tony Adams type, to the David Dean type, because they don't exist in our club. Maybe that's why this has happened.
On that note, Mo, you said that, I'm actually going to say something that I said yesterday on Tom's show as well. I said, I would actually employ somebody like Tony Adams. I'll put him on a salary and I just tell him, listen, just walk around the training ground. Don't get involved in coaching the side. Just be there. So the players have got a figure, a legend or somebody at the club. He can pull players up and say, listen, what you did that, Granit Xhaka tackle Man City, for example, right? Listen, you've done that before. Sort it out. Make sure that doesn't happen again. You've just got a figure of legendary status walking around the place. We don't have anybody like that in any stages of the
all
club.
Our leaders are gone.
Look, Tom has just pulled out a brilliant quote. I gave the
I was just going to say, if Tom wants to go through that.
I pulled out the Pochettino one. Listen to this one from Tuchel.
Go on, Tom.
This is 2 weeks before the Champions League final. Tuchel said, upon moving to Chelsea in May, it has made a huge simplicity for me here because it has been only about coaching. No second thoughts about bringing somebody in or letting somebody go. I embrace the simplicity. I hope I can continue to live like this on the job because it is pure fun, very exciting, very pure, the feeling I have right now. And I mean, if you look at what Chelsea have done, they leave everything to Marina Granovskaya, I think her name is. She brings in the players. She got him Lukaku this summer. I mean, the missing piece of that puzzle in that Chelsea team was a striker that could put goals away. I mean, if Timo Werner was on fire last season, they probably would have beaten Man City to the title, to be honest. And Lukaku has come in this year, and for me, they're my favourites to win the league. So if you've got a director of football or a sporting director or a technical director or whoever you want that's got a coach that is just focused on coaching, and if the coach is turning around saying, I need this position, this position, this position, and the technical director is able to go away and bring in the players in those key positions that isn't fussy, and I think that's the problem with Arteta, is that And I think he definitely pushed to be manager. As far from David Ornstein, I think said on the Arscast the other day that Arteta was very, very wanting of that managerial position at the club. If we just had a head coach and we had a technical director that was doing his job and the head coach doing his job, I do think, and Lee brought up a really good point earlier before we just would change, which was, I think, Lee, you said, if we had a different coach and we'd had the same window as we had this year, would we be this kind of have this much animosity towards Edu, towards things? And I don't think we would. I think if we had Antonio Conte in charge or someone else it was just a head coach, but we brought in these same players, and I know the context will be, and some people might say he wouldn't have wanted those players, but I still think the point stands that if we had a different head coach to Arteta and we had this same window, I think that the mood would be very different.
Oh, hold on, Tom, right, and all you guys in here, yeah? How long?
Brace yourselves.
No, how long have we needed a quality centre midfielder and a quality centre back? How long did we need those for season upon season upon season? Did we rectify that situation ever?
Yeah,
ever.
We got Gabriel last season. I think some very, very good.
Well, yeah, okay.
They're both decent side. I really do believe that. But
all right.
I come on to the facts with Edu. With Arteta. You know what I mean? That he's saying. Let's be honest. If he's saying Saliba's not good enough for his team, right? Then he's rubbish, because the two centre halves I'm watching at the moment in Chambers and Holding, they are not good enough, right? They are not good enough. I can tell you that now. I don't need to go and look at a screen to tell me that they're not good enough. I'm fed up with seeing our central defenders. Well, I've seen my central defenders in the last 3 games, right? 2 of them get bullied by big central strikers, and then the other one get outdone by little players. That doesn't fulfil me going into the season about anything like, you know. So for me, this is the problem when you go on about it. Like, I'm looking at Mikel Arteta and I'm thinking to yourself, right, hold on a minute. Edu made a very, very good point. This is the time when you see if when we're like this. This is when it tells you if players are up for the fight or they're not, right? Yeah. Well, I see, and again, I'm not having a go at Granit Xhaka. I see Granit Xhaka, when the going gets tough, dive into a tackle and then have an early bath, right? You know, instead of rolling up his sleeves and going, I'll tell you what, we ain't going to win this game, but I'm going to fight for everything to make sure that we don't get humiliated. He turned it in. Let's see if he's in the team when he comes back from the ban. I guarantee you that he will. So for me, Edu, you're talking crap. Right?
And he's a centre midfielder. He's a centre midfielder by trade, Edu. Surely.
Listen, in defence of Granit Xhaka, I want him to move on. I don't rate him, but he actually always does stand up and tries to be counted. So when you're saying Lee, he turned it in, I disagree with that. I don't think that he was a coward.
I've spoken to turned around and said that that's what he done.
I don't care. I don't think Granit Xhaka does that. Granit Xhaka actually does always.
Come on, Mo. That tackle, you know you're going to get sent off.
No, I disagree. Lee, I disagree.
He has got a rep for it, hasn't he?
I think that tackle was stupidity. I don't think it was him being a coward and intentionally getting sent off. Absolutely not. So I'm just going to call that out there, because I don't like Granit Xhaka, but that's one thing we can give him, that he doesn't shirk responsibility.
Listen, I look at that and I think to myself, look, I've stuck up for Granit Xhaka in the past. Arteta got when Højbjerg had a go at him. Granit Xhaka was the only Arsenal player that wanted it, and so I see that. But that tackle there, in this day and age, like 10 years ago, Mo, that's a great tackle. I earned money doing tackles like that. You know what I mean? Love them, right? But ultimately, nowadays, they do not. They get you sent off.
I agree with that, Lee. But what I don't agree with is that he intentionally turned it in. He's just
psychologically or whatever. I don't. Yeah.
No. There was none of that. He's just dumb. He's just a dumb footballer. And he does
we keep playing him though, Mo.
That's the mistake.
We keep playing. Wait. Where are we at fault? He keeps doing it. We keep playing him, and we keep putting our foundations on this guy, and he keeps letting us down. How many more times?
I'm not debating that.
We've extended his contract.
We all agree with that. I think we all agree with that. I'm not debating that. What I'm saying is that he didn't turn it in on that day. He's
He would turn it in.
He's just a dumb footballer.
What Mo is trying to say is he didn't make that tackle purposely.
No. I understand
And also, and you know what? This conversation has been superb, and obviously, I would like to carry on, but we've got different things to discuss. So
he's stuck on line one of his criteria.
He spent hours on this running order.
After 49 minutes on this subject, we're now moving on to subject 2.
Guys,
listen, I wasn't planning to spend this time on it, but it's been a great discussion, different point of views.
Before we do go, Shaheen, before we do go on to the last thing, I really want to know if anyone can point me in the right direction. I want to know what Arteta's managerial record was for Arsenal before his promotion. So he joined Arsenal December 2019. He got his promotion September 20. I would love to know what his record was as head coach and what his record has been as manager. Because
you can put that on the comments for Mo, so he can read that later on.
Someone look it up.
There's a couple of things I want to say. We've got about just under 500 people watching, right? And we only got about 110 likes. So please, guys, sort it out. Please hit the like button.
Discussion.
Subscribe, obviously, to us. Subscribe to Lee Judges, Mo, Haidar, Tom, the Gooner Talk. We've got another great show tomorrow at 6:30 with Edu. And not the director Edu, the Chilean Edu, and James Rowe is going to come in and is going to help us analyze the new signings. Just before I go through the other segment of the show, I had a couple of quick fire questions I wanted to throw at you guys, but I'll just ask you one.
Have to be quick.
So just a name. Just a name and a number, please, right? If you can rate the transfer window and give me one name that you're excited to see from the signings. Mr. Judges.
Lokonga, I think he's a player. I've got to say that he excites me. But then again, got dropped in the last game after 2 really games that have excited me. So again, don't trust me there.
And what number you give that? 5.
5 out of 10.
Mo?
4 out of 10 for the window. Who am I looking forward to? Yeah, Lokonga.
Tom?
I'd lean always towards Lokonga. I think he's most exciting. I'm interested to see what impact Ben White has on the defence. So, Ben White as well.
And what number you give?
6.
Lev?
I love him.
I'm gonna say 4, and I will say Lokonga. I mean, I'm not gonna say Ben White because it doesn't excite me. I think it doesn't excite me. I'm sorry.
What excites you, Lev? I want to know.
I'll tell you offline, Tom.
All right, we keep that for after the show when we're done. But listen, guys, on the comments, please tell us as well what number you give for the transfer window and what name. Give us a name that will excite you. If you're watching the show, obviously afterwards, once we're done, please write it on the comments. Listen, so transfer window, it is what it is. It's done. Edu, Arteta, they've done whatever it is they needed to do. Now, moving forward, Norwich is out of a sudden a huge game. Norwich, Burnley, Tottenham, in my view. Next 3 games are really, really big for Arteta, his job security, and Arsenal Football Club. And how would you, if you were to advise Arteta of how to turn things around, right? Because he's got to win the next 3 games. It's not just, there's no point him going there, Arsenal going out there, put 5 past Norwich and then get beat by Burnley and Spurs. No point. You've got to get 9 points out of the next 3 games. So I'll start with Lev. If you had to give advice to Arteta on how to turn things around, what would you advise him to do? Just a couple of things to turn things around and obviously get the points that is required.
What, other than let somebody else have a go?
Other than that,
okay. In that case, I would say just simplify things. He's overcomplicating it. He's got to look at his squad and look at who the best players are for those positions and play them in those positions. Stop faffing around with all these other things that he's trying and overcomplicating it. If he wants to go with 3, then go with 3 with wing backs. If just do it in the right way. Play the best players you have in the right positions. If Partey and Lokonga for me have got to be the centre midfield pairing out of what he has. It has to be. I don't care that Lokonga's the youngster. People are saying Xhaka and this. No, for me, Lokonga is already a more suitable midfielder for the Premier League than Xhaka. So I would go Xhaka or Partey, for example, in the middle. Just play players where they're supposed to play. I would prefer him to go Aubameyang down the middle. Stop faffing around playing Aubameyang on the wings. Like, he's overcomplicating it. So for me, I would say to him, pick your best 11, play the players where they're supposed to play in their natural positions. And if they're not the right type of players to play the formation he wants right now, then work around what you have and try to get the best out of what you have, rather than try to insist on them playing a certain way that they're not capable of playing. I think that's probably what I would say.
Tom?
I just want to see a system. That's all I want to see from the way that we play is a style. I can't identify the way that we're trying to play right now. I want to see triangles. I want to see plan A, B, and C. Like, if we look so one-dimensional when we play, I just want to see, if things aren't working, us changing things up and trying different things out. And I think Lev hit the nail on the head, to be honest. Just the basics. Like, we've lacked the basics at Arsenal for so long, and if we just start making right decisions, that it would change so much. And the problem is that I at the end of the day, I don't have the faith that this manager will achieve those, which is ultimately, I think, again, leads to us the best decision being a change of coach.
Fair enough.
Which is what I said at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, for me, I think it would be more the mental side of things. I'd say forget anything else, right? If the tactics are simple or if they're complex, forget all of that. If the players don't like you, if you don't have the players in the palm of your hand, they're not going to play for you. Anyone that's played at any level in a football team will know there's a lot of egos in any dressing room. And when the players actually go out on the pitch and the manager's not there, you'll turn around and be like, oh, forget that. We're not doing that. We're going to do this. And you'll do what you want to do if you don't like or trust your manager. So what I would say is that what he needs to do is that actually start thinking about how he can cultivate better relationships with the players, go on some flipping courses to understand personality types and how you can build that. As soon as the players start to like him, they will play for him. And you see any other high-performing club, with Jurgen Klopp, I think we can all say he's squeezed out so much more than that squad had in them prior to his arrival. And that's because I think he's supremely intelligent on the emotional intelligence level in terms of relationship building. You know that time where they went and drew 2-2 to a inferior team away from home? Can't remember who it was. West Brom, there you go. They all went and applauded the fans, yeah. When I saw that day, I thought to myself, yeah, he's going to get mocked for it. But the togetherness that he's building in that dressing room is something special. You could see that. And it was no surprise to me that Klopp went on and started getting Liverpool playing so well. It might burn, the flame might burn really brightly, and therefore it might not last that long. It's hard to maintain it, but I'd rather have a few 2-3 years of intense brilliance than what Arteta might be doing 5 years of mediocrity. So that's what I'd be saying to him. Please think about how you can actually get the players enjoying playing for you and liking you.
Can we imagine we're talking about a manager of Arsenal needing courses still? Before he even starts, this is someone who should have been far more experienced than what we have at the moment. I know what you're saying, Mo, but do you know what I mean? Him needing a course. The manager, we should have had a Klopp managing us. We should have moved on him when we had Arsene Wenger, that he was the ideal replacement, and we even waited on that.
But that's the reality. He's an inexperienced guy. And you look at Thomas Tuchel, you look at Pochettino, the examples that Tom and I have given, they didn't have as much responsibility as Arteta. When Pochettino said what he said, he was saying they should change me from manager to head coach. That's what he was saying, because he didn't have anything to do with the transfers. Arteta has been pushing, he pushed for that manager role. I think he's trying to do too much too soon, and I think a bit more humility, getting players liking him, is more of a sensible approach.
Fine. Just before I come to the governor, always love a super chat here at the Arsenal Lounge. The real Giannis, thank you for your super chat, man. We have to wait and see how this team does the next 4 games before we can say they aren't playing for him. Yeah, very true. Lee?
Well, I'll say, simple. You play your best team and you trust that team. Just trust it. That's what I see with Arsenal. Too many changes. If for me now, you bring in the new guy at right back, the Japanese fella, Tommy, you bring him back in. He plays right back. As simple as that. Ben White comes in, Gabriel Tierney, that's your back four. That plays every single game, whether they win, lose or draw for the next whatever, unless there's injuries. You go with the two midfield players that you think are the best two midfield players available, which is going to be Lokonga and Partey, because obviously Xhaka's out. And then you play your best, what you think is your best forwards. Don't chop and change. Say to them, right, I'm trusting you as a team to go out and get me the results. And if you don't, if they don't go and get him the results, it tells you all you need to know about the players. And that's what I think he needs to do now. Like, you know, if I'll be honest, one of the biggest criticisms of Mikel Arteta, and I've seen it on TV today, pundits saying he doesn't know his best 11. Right, well, I'm telling you that now. From now on, he's got to know his 11. I'll tell you this now. He has got to beat Norwich on Saturday. I don't care how he does it, but he's got to beat them. He's got to then go up and produce a performance at Burnley and get a result there. Then he's got to beat Spurs. Now, it's no good winning all those 3 games and then not winning the next one. He has now got to get on a run of 7, 8, 9, 10 games, exactly like Emery did when he first came into the job, before you start winning trust. How he's going to win back fans, like Tom, like myself, like Mo, is by winning games of football. It's as simple as that. And it's not just winning 1 or 2. He's got to now start winning 5, 6, 7, 8 games, going on an unbeaten run. That's something he's not done as a manager. Not done it. He's gone 5 or 6 games and it's gone. He's got to get into double figures. I was always told when I was playing football, like a manager come in and he said, what the main achievement that one manager that was very, very successful while I was under turned around and said, the main aim is the first thing he said to me, the main aim for me coming into this football club is for us to go unbeaten in 10 games. That is the target, 10 games. If we go to 9 games and then we lose, you failed. I want us to go to 9 to 10 games unbeaten. That is your first target. Don't worry about winning whatever that was a target. So we get to 1, 2, 3, 4, we might lose it and we failed. Get to 10. Then eventually we done it. We got to 10. We started then becoming a winning mentality. That is what he's got to do. Not 2 or 3. Not, we've got to beat 3. We've got to win 3 games. Get a mental thing in there. Right, I'm going to realistic plan of 10 games unbeaten. That might be 5, 6 wins and 4 draws. But you get that and you make sure you get that target. If you don't get that target, you might be out of the team.
Lee, did you get the target?
Huh?
Did the team get that target?
Yeah, well, we got to that target. Yeah, we got to that.
And Lee, when that manager came into the team, what was the players' reactions to him when he said all of this stuff? What was the mood in the dressing room about that manager?
You're confident because you looked at him and you thought, you know what, he knows what he's talking about. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be honest. You know what I mean? Like, and I thought, well, listen, you've got to have, you know what it's like as a manager or coach. First things and first, you've got to win over people, and you win them over. That I always think that first conversation and thing. Then you've got to put on good training sessions. I'm pretty sure Mikel puts on good training sessions. That helps. You know what I mean? But you've got to have that mentality where you think, right, hold on, you're going to be there. Also, what that tells you is you've got, you know, it tells you as a manager. He wants to trust you for those 10 games. If you cannot get to 10 games as a team and as individuals, you're not good enough for him. He's basically telling you that. But he's doing it in a positive way that you can go, right, let's go 1 game. He used to come in and go, like, we'd have a good win. You know, and he'd come in and go, right, that's 2. That's 2. Right. I'm not, you know, and all of a sudden it would, oh, yeah. But it'd get you onto the third one, like, do you know what I mean? When we got to I know this sounds silly, like, you know what I mean, like, we got 10 games unbeaten. Oh, that's great and all that. It's not then you go, right, that's it, toss it aside. You know what I mean? You got to go. It come back in now. Can we make 20? Can we make 20? But I tell you what, lads, you've done well to get 10. Training tonight. We're not training tonight. We're going to have a pizza in the bar and a beer. You know what I mean? Like, well done. And you think, oh, that's great. You know what I mean? Like, you know. So there's the team bonding comes in. But then you go again. You know, I think we got to about 15 games in the end and we lost. But ultimately, we climbed the table. And that is what you're doing. Before you know it, the mentality changes. And that's what you've got to do.
Lee, sounds like you need to find this manager. If Arteta could get the job with his CV, then maybe this guy could get the job.
Well, you know, it's all there's different ways, isn't there? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I you know, you go on. I'll tell you what. I had a manager once that said, "Right, we're going to go running. We're going to run, and we're going to run hard today." Like, and you know, and people are, you know, going and he'd dump them, he'd get rid of them, and he'd turn around and go, "What I want is if you can't run for me for 30 minutes." How can you do it for 90 minutes in a game? You know, so I can trust. There's different ways of doing it. Different ways. You've got to put your arm around people. You can have a go at someone or whatever. Like, you know, wind people up because you know it gets them having a better game. But you've got to be a man manager as well. But you've also got to have this unity of something in there. Now, Arsenal Football Club should not be bottom of the league. Arsenal Football Club should not be going into 8th in the league. So you've got to say to them, right, the best thing there. I don't know. If I was coming in there at the moment, I'd say, right, we're bottom of the league. We win our next 3 games. You know what I mean? That gets us halfway and all that. But like, put in little targets all the time. But not saying we're going to get top 4. Put in little targets, little things that are little carrots dangling and all that. Like, you know, I don't see that with Mikel. You know, listen. Everybody knew we was going to lose to Brentford. We all knew. There's an acceptance when Arsenal lose a game of football now. And I'll tell you that now. People I know that are very, very passionate about Arsenal don't have the ump no more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you know what? What will really show up is when everyone's fit, it's really not difficult to pick the best starting 11 for me, especially from the back to midfield. All right, you could maybe argue the front line. You can mix it up and change it around.
We get the whole. You're exactly right. From the goalkeeper to the. If we all named it and wrote it down now, from the goalkeeper up until the forwards, we get exactly the same team.
Yeah, it's not difficult. So if he's not getting it right, you got to ask questions. Go on, Shaheen.
We've got another obviously super chat from Amir now, I think. Thanks for your super chat, man. I watched Gabon versus Egypt, and Oba again has underperformed. He hasn't been given any service, low confidence, and missed a clear goal. What has happened to him? To be fair, my friend, this is a show on its own. What happened to Aubameyang? And we've been going for an hour, and I'm just conscious of the time. We won't be able to go into this. I'll promise you, we will do a show on this. So, guys, please hit the like button, subscribe to all of us here. I just want to round up the show with another quick fire couple of questions to you all, and just a yes or no to both of them. So the first question will be, do you expect Mikel Arteta to still be in the job if he gets anything less than 9 points from the next 3 games? That's question 1. Question 2, if he doesn't, do you expect Arsenal to sack him and bring somebody like Antonio Conte? There's a super chat. Before, have a think about it. I'm going to read out super chat from Alexander, who's also one of our regulars, and obviously he's very kind with the super chat. Top clubs have top management that address problems and solve them. We have 3 top figures with no experience and top level. How does this happen? Very, very good point. Another comment I want to put on the screen.
Shut up, Shaheen. Could I just
shut up, Shaheen? You know nothing about football.
You know nothing, mate. You know nothing.
Please go watch somebody else if I don't know nothing about football. Nobody's invited you to be here, so thank you for that. And I don't understand people. You're taking time out of your life to come here, make an effort to write that rubbish. Fuck, you know. Anyway.
He's even put a super chat out for it.
He's giving him a straight red. He's just
he's Granit Xhaka at the chat box.
Why are you coming here, man?
He's coming with a two-footed tackle on Shaheen.
Anyway, Lev, I'll start off with you, man.
Oh, but I'm scared to say anything to you now in case you shut me off air or something.
No, you're right. Don't worry. As long as you don't say nothing like that, we're good.
Bro. Cheers, bro. Right, so
you know, Mo.
Can you get this
channel? You see how this guy has done that for telling the truth. He's only been blocked for telling the truth.
More Haidar blocked.
Oh man, this is just gone. This is spiraled out of control.
The thing is, Devon, if he obviously you've blocked him now, but
it's all coming in now. Oh shit! Lee, do you want to say anything as well, mate? What we'll make it nice round.
He was only telling the truth, you know. So
I wish he had said what he didn't agree with. I wish he had just said what he didn't agree with. You know, instead of just insulting you, like tell us what you didn't agree with.
Well, he did give him a chance, did he? Cut him off.
You know what surprises me? If somebody actually takes time to come and write that.
I wanted to hear what he had to say.
But yeah, at least make your point. At least tell us why.
Well, there's another super chat from Paramount. Thank you. Question to Paramount. My major problem with Arteta is that he can't get consistency out of consistent run of result, even draw. I think his most consistent is 5 or 6 games. It's good point you say that. And Lee was saying something very similar to. So if you watch the show back afterwards, you would see Lee was discussing this in great details. I can't go in details on that because I'm conscious of time, and I've got a couple of questions for the guys that I want to get the answers of. Guys in the comments as well, if you can answer, that would be great. And if you're watching the show after, please write for us your answers in the comments. Lee, sorry, Lev, go on.
All right, so what was the questions again? I just lost my
So
shit.
I remember.
Right.
Do you think Arteta will still be in the job if he gets anything less than 9 points for the next 3 games? Question 1. 2, if he doesn't get 9 points, do you think Arsenal would then sack him and bring somebody like an Antonio Conte type in?
Right, okay. It's you want a yes or no answer, but like it's a tough one because I can't just say. Look.
Briefly,
if he gets less than 9 points, if he gets less than 9 points, he could. If he like won those 2 games and lost to Spurs, they'd still keep him because they'll say, "Oh, it was a tough game against Spurs." That's my opinion. Not that I would agree with it, but if he gets anything less than those 2 wins and the loss, then I think they'll sack him. And then the next one was. What was the next one?
Do you think they'll fucking hell?
Well,
do you think they'll bring somebody
I'm
like
scared.
Antonio
You've got me
Conte?
shook now. I'm scared to say the wrong thing. Okay. I would basically, they would bring someone else in. They would, but I don't think it will be an
somebody
Antonio.
like
Not Antonio Conte. I think they'll find a cheap budget replacement. Either like I don't know, they'll bring back Wenger or something, or they'll do something. No, fuck off. Like what? Yeah, they'll bring back someone like Wenger or someone like that. I don't think they'll go out and get Conte. I don't think they've got the balls or the money.
Fair enough. Tom,
can we drop Lev from it now?
Yeah, he's banned. He's going to be blocked as well, mate. Sorry, Tom, go on.
No, I don't think he'll go. I think if he wins both those 2 games, I think to be honest, if he wins one of the 3, he'll still stay. If he was to go, I'd have no faith of them picking the right coach. I have no faith in them picking the right.
They'll probably go Graham Potter.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I know a lot of people would take Graham Potter, to be honest. So there you go.
Fair
I
enough.
wouldn't. I
Mr.
agree.
Haidar, with the shaking of the head.
Yeah, I think that basically if he gets 1 win, he'll stay. So the answer to less than 9 points, no, they're not going to sack him if he gets less than 9 points. And do I trust them to go and get someone like a Conte? No, I don't trust them.
Mr. Judges?
I think I don't care what if he wins, if he beats Norwich and he beats Burnley and he loses Spurs, I think he'd be gone. I think the fans would have had enough. If he loses Spurs at home, there's no way back for him. And you know what? Anybody with any,
do you have confidence in them to bring somebody like?
Yeah, I do, because I think that they're going to have to. Because I tell you what, if they think that by beating Burnley and beating Norwich and then losing to Spurs, he's going to turn it around, he ain't going to. You know what I mean? It tells you all you need to know. He needs to go on a run now. I don't care what anybody says. He's put himself in this position. And listen, Conte's out there. The club has spent money. Look, people keep going on about Conte. He won't come to Arsenal. He left Inter Milan because they took away his best players. He went to Inter Milan and he bought players like I can't think of his name now, who played for Man United. Young.
Okay. Oh, Young. Sorry. Yeah.
So don't think that he wouldn't come to Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? With all that stuff. So that would happen. I think at the end of the day, if they were, they've got to get 9 points. And I think if they lose to Spurs, and I'm going to say it now, he won't be the only one gone as well.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Lee on that one. I just want to thank everybody who's given us the time to be here. Everybody on the panel. Follow Tom, follow Mo, follow Lee Judges, follow us. Hit the like button here. Don't forget to join us 6:30 tomorrow. We're going to do analysis on the signings. We're going to have James Rowe with us and Edu. And
gonna have Edu with you. Wow.
Not the Chilean Edu, not the real Edu. And a word of advice from me to everybody. Please find something better to do than just come here and write insults.
Oh, shit. It wasn't that much of an insult. You know what I mean?
Wait a second. Wait a second, guys.
You want to say anything?
Sorry, wait a second. Lee, remind me, how did we start this show?
Oh,
What do
yeah.
you mean?
What did
Yeah,
Shaheen
had a
say?
go at me, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Had a go at me, didn't he?
No, but
Yeah.
it's all right. Me and Lee are all right. You know, we know each other. It's all right.
Maybe
I'll take it for
Devan-
I'll take it for a cliche.
Me and Lee
again.
all right
We
now,
love
yeah.
that.
Maybe Devan thought you and him were all right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's
No,
why you're
it's
called
good, it's good.
Esteban, because you can't be trusted. You know what I mean? I go, yeah, all right, and then you shoot me. You know what I mean?
It acts like your mate, doesn't he? Comes with a smile and then just
Yeah.
No.
Definitely
It's all
rattled
love.
out the
It's all
old
love,
boy,
man.
ain't he? Like
It's all
that. I
love.
mean, he's been rattled by this. Many a true word said in jest.
yeah.
Before we go, honestly speaking, like, you know, we all of us do a lot of these things, right? And sometimes you feel like you have a really good conversation, and I think this was one of them. I think the way we got into the depths of Arteta and his promotion and him and how he works with Edu and all that sort of stuff, I actually thought it was a really good conversation. And now, honestly, having had this conversation, if someone said to me, you have to go and do something to fix the problems at Arsenal, I may well actually think off the back of this conversation that I'd say, actually, I'm going to demote Arteta, make him realize that he needs to earn this position and get him to focus. You know how sometimes captaincy gets taken away from people to help them just be better at their day job, at the crux of their role. I think maybe that might be the case for Arteta. That's something that I might do. So my point is, I think such a good conversation, so insightful, and nowhere near enough likes to kind of reflect that.
It's criminal. It's criminal, guys. Just before we go, Ryan has been doing a fundraising to help another fellow Arsenal fan. Mo was on the channel yesterday. So if you go on Mr. Arsenal podcast on Twitter, you will find a link you can donate to his GoFundMe page, and it's for a good cause. So if you can spare anything at all, check it out.
Oh, Shaheen, one last thing as well, yeah. It's my son's birthday today. He's 17. His name's Angelo. Happy birthday, son.
Happy birthday, Angelo.
Made me really proud with his
birthday.
GCSEs. If you guys could just wish him a happy birthday, he's a gooner. You know.
Happy birthday, Angelo.
Happy
you.
birthday, son.
Happy birthday, man. Have a good one. It's difficult to put up with Lev. I know that. So hopefully you got many more years.
Says the diva. Says the diva himself.
Yeah.
I mean,
Anyway, guys, have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much for tuning in. We all love you. It's all about banter and jokes, especially Lee Judges. And hopefully, don't forget 6:30 tomorrow. And then we'll see you guys next Monday for the same podcast, because we do this Monday evenings. And hopefully, it will be a good 3 points and a good performance that we can discuss. So again, thank you very much. Lev, do you want to end the show?
Mate, it's been emotional. I love this show today. I really did. Thank you all. Loungers, love you. Peace out. We're out of here.